Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Atrium Customer Office Hours. I'm so excited to have you all here. I hope you're all having great weeks. My name is Margie Hochberger, and I'm a Customer Success Associate here at Atrium, and you may have seen me running one of these before a couple of months ago. But today, we'll be discussing Atrium integrations. So how to leverage Atrium's integrations with Slack, Gong, and Salesforce. So integrating these tools with Atrium allows you to pull in data from the most important tools in your sales tech stack and distribute said data and insights amongst your teams. So I'd like to give folks just a few minutes to join. So while everybody's coming into the room, go ahead and let us know in the chat who you are and where you're calling in from. Ooh, Brooklyn. I used to live there actually for almost 5 years. I was on the cusp of Clinton Hill and Bed-Stuy. But now I'm actually in Marina del Rey, Los Angeles. So slightly different change of scene. Also, just a reminder, please leverage the chat panel throughout the webinar. This is definitely meant to be interactive. So, drop questions you have, provide any commentary and candid feedback you have, and let's just make the next 45 minutes we have together a great time. Hannah and Callie are in SF. I'm looking forward to going there and visiting our office sometime soon. And so before I dive into the content, I want to take a moment to shout out Modern Sales Pros. So Modern Sales Pros is Atrium's community, and it's a network of 25,000 sales leadership, sales management, and sales operations professionals that you can learn from. So the venue isn't dissimilar to this, where we are right now, high value and super educational. So we'd love to have you join to continue leveling up your data-driven sales management skills. And if you're not a member, you can sign up through this link that Hannah and Callie are posting in the chat right now. And the threads, webinars, and people are second to none and include some of the best sales leaders in the world. And who doesn't love growing their network? So when you sign up, you can actually select Margie Hochberger as your point of contact. And we're always running spiffs for who can get the most members added. So please help me out here. I would love to be your referral as you sign up to MSP. So again, the link is right there in the chat, and definitely check MSP out. So for those of you who just joined, welcome again to today's episode of Atrium Customer Office Hours. Really excited to have you here. Again, my name is Margie Hochberger, and I'm a Customer Success Associate here at Atrium. And today we're going to be discussing Atrium integrations. So how to leverage Atrium integrations like Salesforce, Gong, and Slack with our tool. Integrating these tools with Atrium allows you to pull in data from the most important tools that you already have in your sales tech stack and distribute that amongst your teams. So go ahead and let us know in the chat again who you are and where you're calling in from. And definitely go ahead and share your LinkedIn URL as well, because this is a really great place to connect with other data-driven sales leaders. And just a reminder that you can absolutely be interactive in this chat, drop questions, provide commentary, and let's make the next 45 minutes fun. All righty. So this is just a quick snapshot with our customers. Learn from the best. High-performing teams all use Atrium. So you're really in good company by joining this CS office hours and learning, about how you can level up your own usage of the tool. So I think we have people joining who want to at this point, so we can go ahead and get started. We're going to spend about 10 to 15 minutes setting context, and I'll share the basics of integrating Slack, Gong, and Salesforce with Atrium, and talking about how these integrations can make an impact on the management of your sales team. Then we'll spend a bit of time in Atrium where I can show you how to actually set up integrations and use them within the product. And then we'll head into a live Q&A from all of you. And remember, this time is for you. Managing your sales data isn't easy, and actually taking the data from these integrations and using it to coach your reps can be even more of a puzzle. But I never hear a bad question related to this topic. And we had about 75 customers on the calendar invite for today. So there's a good chance that someone else has the same question or wants to see the same examples as you. And the ability to integrate Salesforce, Slack, and Gong is one of the main things that makes Atrium so helpful. And I'm really excited to be in the room, so to speak, with so many great sales leaders to dive a little deeper into this topic. So let's go ahead and dive in. One final item I'd like to bring up before we get started is the importance of interactiveness of these sessions. Everyone on this session right now is a valued Atrium customer. So definitely go ahead and leverage my expertise and leverage the expertise of fellow customers on this call. I know I'll be the only one speaking, but we're all here to learn, and that is exactly what this chat is for. So keep the questions coming and let's plan to help each other out. And with that, let's roll. So Atrium pulls in your team's data, organizes it, and provides insights so that you can focus on coaching your teams to success. And obviously, the key to data-driven sales management is data. So why are we talking about integrations today? We'll be covering Salesforce, Gong, and Slack and Atrium and how to set them up, and then how to leverage these integrations and actually use them in your sales management practice. They're very important. So this is a little bit about how Atrium works with Salesforce, Gong, and Slack. I'm sure everybody has seen and and love this slide. It's a great example and visual showing what's getting pulled in to Atrium in your instance and what's being, connected and eventually served to you as insights that you can coach on. So we're pulling from, if you have a G Suite integration, we're pulling from GCal to look at meetings on calendar and meetings created, Gmail to look at things like emails sent, and then hooking directly into Salesforce itself to look at account and opportunity data. And then same with this Gong integration, you can go ahead and actually analyze reps' call quality to coach them to being the best version of themselves they can. So you can utilize these integrations in nearly every major area of your sales management motion, from pipe review and deal inspection to goal and activity tracking. Atrium integrations streamline the process so that you and your team can focus on revenue driving activities. Sorry, I think I misread one of my slides. These are, oops, sorry. So these are the basics. As current Atrium customers, you all know about how Salesforce is used within Atrium, but we're going to talk about some additional things you can do within the product, such as mapping Salesforce fields in Atrium, custom data filters, and custom tasks. So now I'm going to get a little bit into the weeds of how you can utilize the Salesforce integration with Atrium. There we go. Now I'm on this slide. So Salesforce field mappings in Atrium are pretty straightforward. We're essentially pulling in important fields from your Salesforce and linking them to direct metric cards in Atrium, such as bookings, or something like account tier, which is what you can filter on different metric cards. So it's really important to have these being mapped correctly, especially if you change something in your sales motion or you like deprecate a field. You definitely want to stay on top of what you're actually using as fields in Salesforce to map correctly to Atrium so that all of the cards you're looking at reflect correct data. And so the way to set this up is really to go into the admin panel, which is your name on the right-hand side, and go into the Salesforce section. And you can see the 4 main types of Salesforce mappings in Atrium are opportunity mapping, account mapping, call mapping, and email mapping. So creating custom filters for Salesforce data in Atrium is really valuable. Something that you can do is create custom data filters that in addition to the basic main fields that are being pulled in. So some use cases include, closed lost reason that you'd want to filter on, or maybe there's another use case like industry that isn't being pulled in already that you want to filter on, and you can look at all of these different metrics and then filter on those specific custom data filters. Maybe you want to focus on target accounts. That's another use case, and you have a field that represents that. We can pull that into Atrium as well. So where can I see my custom filters in Atrium? As I was just describing, if you go over to the left-hand side of a metric card, underneath the people picker, we have filters. And on a lot of different metric cards, such as some of these ones listed on this slide, you can actually go ahead and filter on these different metric cards so that you can visualize what you want to. So custom tasks allow you to track specific task types from Salesforce in your Atrium instance. This is a newer feature that we have that if I'm your CSM, I'm sure you've heard me speak about at least once on a call. Custom tasks are really helpful if you want to look at additional social touches, such as LinkedIn messages or text messages that aren't being captured in the standard calls, emails, and meetings that we track. So if there's other effort and activity that you want to measure by reps, you can now do this by mapping the task object and the specific field that you want from Salesforce to Atrium. So why track activity volume with custom tasks? This is kind of what I was just saying, but tracking additional activities in Salesforce helps managers to understand what reps are doing to be successful. So if somebody, maybe hasn't, had that many meetings, but they've sent a lot of emails that week, maybe they've also sent a lot of in-mails or done other sort of social touches that you'd want to track. It's helpful to have that card in Atrium as well so that you can get a holistic view of everything that your rep is doing on a daily, weekly, and monthly basis. So I'm just going to show you within the product now how to set up custom tasks from Salesforce in Atrium. This is a screenshot that's just an example, but if you actually pop in here, This is Atrium in demo mode right now, but this is an example of a custom tasks card that's really valuable. Customer success plays are being logged by the CS team. And, it's really important to track that because we want to make sure that we are running successful plays in our customer success motion and doing all that we can to provide value to our clients. So tracking the effort of that outreach, in addition to just the meetings being held and the calls, or sorry, the emails that are being sent, is really helpful to look at. And the way that this is actually linked to Atrium is if you go to Salesforce and then custom tasks, which I'm already on, you can actually see that we're pulling from this specific field, and you can select the values that represent the task you want Atrium to report on. So if your use case was, let's say, LinkedIn messages, maybe the field on the task object is type, and then the value might be LinkedIn message or LinkedIn outreach, and you can select that. And then you can just title your custom tasks card LinkedIn messages. And that would be a really great way to track that additional social outreach. And then I also just want to quickly touch on account and opportunity mapping, which are these other important aspects of integrating Salesforce with Atrium. You want to make sure that, account type describes a company's relationship to your sales org. So it could be like customer, prospect, something of that nature. And you want to just make sure that that's mapped to the right Salesforce field name. And then account tier is something you could use, like maybe bucketing company size or something like that, like people head count, and pull in that field. And then these can be filtered on a metric card, which is really helpful. So if you're looking at accounts touched, you can filter by account tier or account type if there's specific ones you want to look at that your reps are reaching out to. And then it's a similar thing with opportunity mapping. You just want to make sure that bookings and pipeline are mapped to the right fields, and all of these other ones below. So just wanted to touch on that. Cool. So next, let's talk about, let me just mention that these are really helpful resources and support. So we are going to send those out after this call, and you will definitely get these resources in your inbox. They also just live on our support site, which has a lot of really good documents and articles to help you out on your journey here. Cool. So next, let's talk about Atrium's integration with Gong. We'll touch on why call coaching is important and how to create dashboards and set and track goals using these metrics. So why should you be coaching around call behavior? Good call coaching empowers reps to improve their customer-facing communication and time management. So this is something that you really want to focus on, because obviously good conversations and good calls with prospects lead to increased bookings and revenue, which is of course the ultimate goal here in any go-to-market organization. So being able to analyze reps' calls is an extremely powerful thing. And having this Gong integration is really great. So which Gong metrics are included in Atrium? These are the 6 that we have currently. I've definitely set up for some of my clients or built with them, a Gong dashboard or a Gong call quality alert feed. And those can include some or all of these metrics. Talk ratio is like the percentage of total call time the sales rep was speaking. we have patience, we have longest monologue, we have interactivity, we have question rate, then we have trackers, which is really popular if you set that up in Gong. And I will show you in just a couple of slides what that looks like. So coaching with Gong, here are a couple of dashboard examples. I'm just going to click into this Gong call quality dashboard. So this is a really great example of something you'd want to see when analyzing reps calls and being able to coach them. You can see that these cards are set up in the timeframes of trailing 30 days and then trailing 6 months. So you can see who's doing better, in recent timeframes, and then who has seen improvement over time. So for example, I can see here that Samson the horse, it's looking like, was, talking like a bit more in February, but has slowly and steadily been better at decreasing that talk ratio. And then over here, you can see that he's a little bit at the bottom of the pack, but that's okay because it's evident that there has been improvement. So you can coach him to continue, trying to improve there and do a little bit more listening instead of talking. So here we also have interactivity. Here we have longest monologue. Another thing that pops out is, Roger Rabbit back in March was doing quite a bit of speaking there on calls. And you can see that he has slowly improved over time as well. But you can see over here that he still is kind of speaking at length. So again, there's been an improvement. So whatever coaching is happening, it's going in the right direction, but he could definitely be better as compared to the rest of the team. And then here's question rate. So another dashboard example is a Gong tracker dashboard. And this is really valuable to just set up like phrases and key words that you want reps to be saying on calls. You can set this up in Gong. Here you can see data-driven sales management, data light up effort, and then you can even set up trackers for use cases, which is what reps should be speaking about on their calls with prospects. You can also see that if you click into here, it's on the Gong tracker frequency card that you can actually select the tracker that you want to be looking at. So again, as long as you set that up in Gong and make sure that you're capturing important key words and phrases you want your reps saying on sales calls, you can go ahead and make sure that they are saying that through this integration. Cool. So you can also coach with Gong through goal tracking. You can goal on Gong metrics. And I just want to show you an example here as well. It's really easy to go ahead and set a goal at the team or individual level, but you can see right here that there's a talk ratio goal of 50%. And it's at risk. So we want the team all kind of lowering that talk ratio and having a better one. And then with, tracker frequency, we want 70% of these phrases being mentioned, and it looks like there's 60% right now. So they're on track to hit that target, which is great. And then if you wanted to set individual goals, you could just do that over here add a goal, and then any of these Gong metrics you can goal on and coach to make sure that reps are hitting their targets there. And so another thing that you can set up, in addition to just a Gong call quality alert feed to pair, or like a Gong tracker alert feed to pair with those dashboards, you can set up this Gong kudos feed, which is really great to see the positive alerts that are happening. And here's an image of what some of those would look like. You can set up personal alerts, again, which is like comparing the rep to themselves, peer alerts, which is comparing the rep to their peers, and then goal alerts, which is also how reps are pacing toward goal. And you can set up ramping alerts as well. So here are our resources and support articles that are related to Gong. Again, we will send all of those out to you. So stay tuned. Great. So finally, we'll be talking about how to actually distribute data from Gong and Salesforce with Slack. So I'll be covering how to decide the frequency of your distributions, the channels you should be using, and leveraging this data in your team meetings. So, the purpose of Atrium's integration with Slack is allowing you to ensure that your team has the data they need to succeed when they need it. So really great things to think about are, who needs to see this and how often and how quickly do they need to see this? And is this important enough that it needs to interrupt their workflow or simply notify in the background? That's a really great way to distinguish whether you want to send things through Slack versus email. And so let's go ahead to this next slide. So what metrics need to be seen on what cadence? This is a really great framework for thinking about metrics that you would want to get to reps and frontline managers daily, weekly, monthly, and quarterly. It's really simple to just send out an activity dashboard. You could even title it "What Happened Yesterday." You could put emails, calls, meetings, and accounts touched on there. So that's like 4 short little tiles on a dashboard, or KPI cards on a dashboard. And that can go daily to email and Slack, even if you wanted to send it to the team's Slack channel, then everybody could just see like how they're pacing and keeping up on things, and focusing on those, leading indicators there of trying to work deals and get them through the funnel. But then also, things like bookings or average selling price or win rate, you may want to distribute that quarterly because those are lagging indicators, and reps need some time to go through a sales motion and actually close those deals and get bookings across the finish line. So this slide's really talking about matching the asset to the distribution channel. Which channel should be used for each type of asset. Like I was saying, if in the example that I just used with a "What Happened Yesterday" dashboard that you could send to Slack, that's really helpful because, it's just a quick like morning burst. This is what the team worked on yesterday. You could include activity points on there as well. Or you could actually replace calls, emails, and meetings with activity points, because then you can just see the combined weighted point system of everyone's combined effort on the team. And it's really helpful and motivating for reps to see like the level of effort everyone on their team collectively put in the prior day and get them ready and going for the day ahead. So yeah, if you look up to the right, you'll see that Slack is the highest interrupt for the most important metrics. And like I was just alluding to, quick bursts of information. So a dashboard could be, 6 or fewer cards, and an alert feed could be 4 or fewer metrics that are being tracked. And, celebrating a win is really important too. So like we love sending kudos feeds to Slack noon on Fridays, which I've had a lot of my clients do as well, because it's a really nice sort of like look back reflection on the prior week, and an ability for reps and leadership to give everybody a pat on the back for things that went successfully. And that's only focusing again on positive alerts, just like the Gong kudos feed example that I just showed. Great. So here are some Atrium features that will help you in each of these meeting types. So, in managerial cadences, you could use a stand-up, in a stand-up, you can like give somebody kudos, or you could send a Rise and Shine custom dashboard, which again is just looking at like activity that's been happening over the course of the past week or yesterday. In one-on-ones, you can look at Atrium rep profile pages to actually focus on that specific rep's metrics and do a little deep dive there on what's working and what they may need some help with. You can pull up op health views in pipe reviews to see what may be poorly rated. Maybe some have closed dates in the past. Maybe some op health views are showing op set to close this quarter with no next meeting, and you're definitely going to want to focus on those as well. You can send those to reps directly, and it's just a to-do list to clean everything up and, hold them accountable to pipeline hygiene. And then again, goal performance, team meetings, and you can use strategy insights and metrics alerting for your coaching, because again, the value of Atrium is that it actually serves these up directly to you, and you can coach straight off of that data. So this is another framework for sales operations cadences. And here are some Atrium features that can help you in each of these areas of your role. So those of you in sales ops that are here, I'm sure you've seen this slide too during implementation, or maybe throughout the sales motion even. But it's really helpful to be able to look at like executive visibility dashboards, for example. You can see what's going on at the top of org level in terms of like bookings or pipeline change. And it's really helpful to be able to see that roll up to get a pulse on what's going on highest up, and maybe not necessarily drilling down into a per rep basis. And then again, like at the bottom there, you can see board and QBR meetings. It's really helpful to be able to take screenshots of a pipeline change card or a bookings card to be able to show, your success over the trailing 12 months or last quarter, and go ahead and show that and share that. So just want to say a little PSA here. As your role, team, or sales motion changes, so should your distributions. It's always fine to, go change things. Sometimes you might segment out a team. Sometimes you might add an entire SDR like segment to your go-to-market org. Things are changing all the time. And so as your priorities change, you should absolutely change and tweak what you're sending and when and to whom. So, when should you be reevaluating and adjusting your distributions? I kind of just alluded to this, but, if your priorities as an organization have changed, if hiring has slowed or increased, if you've added layers of management. So let's say somebody's an AE manager and then they get promoted to a VP of sales, then you may want to look at like second level manager views and get not necessarily granular rep level metrics sent to you, but higher up, like roll up executive views. And then again, like if your sales cycles changed or you've segmented your sales motion or even split an AE team into like mid-market, enterprise, or SMB focused selling. And so these are a couple of things that resources that you could distribute. You could leverage them in Atrium, Slack, and email. But use case number one is for ramping. We have this ramping views folder, and within that are dashboards and alert feeds. So it would be really useful to send this ramping dash to the AE team Slack channel. They can see how they are doing ramping in a ramping 6-month time frame where everybody's start date is normalized, and then also in a trailing 6 months time frame. So sort of like what's happening today with everybody. And then an alert feed would pair with that. So another use case is to work out of this prospecting folder. You could have this AE prospecting dashboard. And this could also be sent to Slack on, like a weekly cadence, because you can see what's happening this month and what happened last week, as well as this quarter, and just see how well AEs have been self-prospecting. And if you can coach anybody to, increase their self-sourced ops and see, tap somebody like this person and ask what they're doing to do such a great job of sourcing and share those best practices and replicate that behavior so others on the team may be able to, sniff out those opportunities. And then again, you can pair that with an alert feed. And you can see on this side with the filters that these are the short amount of metrics that are being tracked. We're looking at Prince AE's team. And then all of these alert categories, as well as positive warning and neutral alerts, are being shown. And this could just go to email or Slack as well. And everybody can see how they're pacing toward goal, or, compared to the team for ops created, pipeline created, prospecting accounts touch, prospecting email sent, and prospecting meetings on calendar. Great. So does anybody have any questions? All right, we are almost at time. So we're going to skip this, but if you do have any, go ahead and send them to me or support. We actually have a live chat button now up here. So if you click into that, You can live chat support if you have any questions at all, but you can definitely reach out to your, I said me, but your CSM. If it's me, then me, for any support or questions around any of these integrations. Great. So we'll follow up this afternoon with the recording and resources we dropped in the chat, as well as other relevant resources we didn't have a chance to mention. And if you're ready to start leveraging Atrium integrations, but still aren't quite sure where to start, please don't hesitate, like I just said, to reach out to your CSM for any help there. So next up, we are going live on June 16th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific for an office hours episode on using Atrium for AM and CS management. And we will follow that on July 7th at the same time, discussing rep kudos and gamification, which is a great playbook from our lovely playbooks index. So you can get the calendar invite added to your calendar by signing up at the link that we will drop in the chat. And I'm sure it's been emailed to you as well. So thank you so much for coming today, and I can't wait to see you next time.